Hey everyone, today we're looking at one of the most famous poems in all of Chinese literature. It was written by Du Fu, a poet people often call the poet sage. He lived during the Tang Dynasty, and this poem was written around the year 757. It captures a single moment when everything he knew was falling apart around him. So here's what was happening in the world around him. A massive rebellion led by a general named Lu Shan had torn through the empire, displacing millions. The capital city of Chang'an, once the most dazzling metropolis on earth, had been captured and destroyed. Du Fu was caught in the middle of it all, separated from his wife and children. The poem is called Spring View, and it's only 40 characters long. But those 40 characters carry the weight of an entire collapsing civilization. Here's the first line. The state is shattered, but mountains and rivers remain. Think about that contrast for a second, because it sets up everything that follows. The nation, the empire, everything political and human-made is broken and in ruins. But the mountains and the rivers just keep on being there, exactly as they always have. Nature doesn't care about our wars, or our borders, or our dynasties. That's the first gut punch of the poem, and it hits you right away. Line 2. City in spring, grass and trees grow deep. Spring has come to the ruined capital, and the vegetation is thriving everywhere. The plants are overgrown because nobody is left to tend the gardens or sweep the streets. Life is flourishing in the exact place where human life was destroyed. Now the second couplet of the poem shifts from the ruined city to something more personal. Line 3. Moved by the times, flowers shed tears. Du Fu sees flowers blooming in the midst of all this destruction, and he breaks down. Or maybe it's the flowers themselves that seem to be weeping alongside him. Line 4. Hating separation, the song of birds startles the heart. He hears birds singing in the spring, and it triggers a jolt of pain. Because birdsong is beautiful, and beauty reminds him of everything he has lost. Even something as simple as birdsong has become a kind of torment for him. This is a classic technique called projecting emotion onto the natural world. The flowers don't actually cry, and the birds don't actually feel fear. It's Du Fu's grief overflowing so completely that it seems to fill the entire landscape. The spring scenery becomes a mirror of his shattered heart. Now the third couplet shifts to the war itself, and it gets even heavier. Line 5. Beacon fires have burned 3 months straight. Beacon fires were the military warning system lit on frontier watchtowers when enemies approached. 3 months of continuous beacon fires means 3 months of war with no end in sight. Line 6. A family letter is worth 10,000 gold. In the chaos of war, communication is completely cut off and families are scattered. If somehow a letter from his family were to arrive, it would be more precious than a fortune. And the heartbreaking part is that he hasn't received one. Now the final couplet turns inward to Du Fu's own body. Line 7. White hair, scratched and grown ever shorter. He's been anxiously scratching his head, that nervous gesture of worry and helplessness. And his hair is actually falling out from the sheer stress of everything he's enduring. Line 8. So thin he can barely hold his hairpin. A hairpin was used to secure the traditional top knot that men wore in those days. His hair is now so thin that the pin keeps slipping out. The physical toll of war shows up in the smallest, most intimate details of a life. Here's something interesting about this poem that scholars have debated for centuries. There's an old debate about the exact meaning of lines 3 and 4. Some scholars think flowers shed tears means Du Fu weeps at the sight of flowers. Others read it as the flowers themselves weeping, as if nature shares his grief directly. And there's a deeper layer to that ambiguity that makes the poem even richer. In classical Chinese poetry, this technique is called the fusion of emotion and scene. The beauty is that both readings can be true at the very same time. Du Fu's sorrow and the spring landscape become completely inseparable from each other. What makes this poem endure is how small and specific it is. It doesn't lecture about the tragedy of war in some abstract or general way. It gives you a ruined city, some flowers, a missing letter, thinning white hair. And through those quiet details, you feel the entire catastrophe of a broken empire. Du Fu survived the rebellion, though his life was never easy after it ended. He kept on writing, and today over 1,400 of his poems still survive. If you want to understand why people call him the poet sage, start right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
国破山河在，城春草木深。感时花溅泪，恨别鸟惊心。烽火连三月，家书抵万金。白头搔更短，浑欲不胜簪。